Om Sahana Vavatu Sahanau Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu ma vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Here is a very interesting question. How do I know that the hurt is processed based on the past experiences? Very nice. Because, there are so many hurts, and I keep saying, and Vedanta keeps saying, what does it say? The hurts should be processed. So how to tell if the hurts are processed? Well, there are some indicators. First of all, we have to make sure that that one is processing them and not just stuffing them inside and then hoping they will be processed. First of all, what is processing? Looking at them, venting them out appropriately, of course, without targeting oneself or another, without blaming oneself or another, giving safe expression to the feelings. Feelings are important. They are important because if unaddressed, they will come in the way of one's pragati, progress in the knowledge, in qualifying for this knowledge. So that's why feelings are important, because they could become a potential obstacle. So they need to be expressed. How to express them? It's all your fault. That's one way. It's your problem and you better own up to it. You have always been like this. And this is why I'm having problems, because you are in this Jagat. Is this processing? No. Why? Because it's targeting someone else. And even though it feels like it is processing, there's something, what is the word? There's something delicious about telling somebody off. And it is not, it is very short-lived. Nothing comes out of it. You get a little high, I suppose, and then after that it's just, then you're stuck with feeling bad again. Because now you have two feelings to contend with. The original feeling and the feeling, I think I have the guilt of the outburst. Because nobody likes to have such outbursts. And nobody likes that kind of pain. So you see how it has actually become bigger now. It's become a bigger problem. So processing, there's another kind of, people think processing also means, or could mean, blaming oneself. Why did I do this? How many times have I told myself that this is not the right thing to do? What is wrong with me? When will I learn? Woe is me. Why me? Why is the whole world learning and growing and growing and learning except me? Is this processing? Say no, so we can move on. No. This also is not processing. Why? Because it is targeting oneself. So, one may think, what is it that you are doing? You are taking away all outlets. The Jagat has the outlets and other jivas at the outlets, gone. Big cross on that. And then myself as the outlet, that is also gone. What should I do now? So you can write it out. You can keep a small feelings journal. When things get difficult, write out what you are feeling, how you are feeling. It is very safe. Provided no one reads it, of course. Yeah. If somebody else reads it, it may not be as safe, but because they may feel offended or hurt or both. But barring that, if you are able to just write, then this kind of a journaling it goes a long way. It actually gives insights about one's triggers. Everything is a trigger. The whole Jagat is a trigger. For what? For the hurts that are already there. No, I thought you were the cause of all my hurts. It wasn't there until I met you. The hurts were not there, believe me. This is what one would like to convince oneself. This is how this appears to be very, very, very real. But that is not the case. But then what about the presence of this person, this annoying person in my life? What about this person? Well, this person is a trigger. Is re-stimulating the hurts that happened long ago. There is just that much familiarity with that kind of a hurt, and then the new person in the life, or anybody in the life now, is reminding one of all the things that happened before. Maybe in their way of talking, maybe in their way of being, maybe in their choices, whatever it is. So this is very, very, very important to understand. And when we understand this, then there is space for emotional growth. Because without emotional growth, we can kiss the knowledge of moksha goodbye. Not possible. So this emotional growth is also called spiritual growth. Same thing. And so what does this? So one form of processing is writing it out. And then if there are volatile emotions, too volatile to be written out, you can go to some empty space and yell it out. That is why that trail is called Shanti Trail. Because it absorbs, there's a lot of room to absorb the inner tumult, the inner ashanti, and then give Shanti. Yeah. Shanti Trail after the walk, okay? Yeah. So that's why ashrams are all located outside the city perimeters. This is why. So that you can just go to some little area and then you can scream, yell, cry, rage, rave, rant, and then it is still safe. You're not targeting yourself, you're not targeting anybody else. That expression is very important. So that is one form of processing. You may say, oh, we come here once a while, the rest of the time we are stuck in our little apartments or in our houses, which are of course too close together, we cannot yell, we cannot do anything. Well, there is a remedy for that also. And what you can do is, you can take a towel, wet it nicely, and go to some, not a carpeted floor like this, but like a kitchen floor, bathroom floor full of tiles, and hit the towel on the floor. The more noise it makes, the better. And you visualize a person, okay? Whoever right now wants to be the target badly of the anger, visualize that person and give them. Imagine giving them a few whacks. But then you're not really giving them a few whacks, you're just beating a towel on the floor. And if somebody thinks it is strange, let them. In fact, you'll be just in the bathroom, close the door or something like that. Or when nobody is at home, you can use the kitchen floor. that is also very, very effective. Yeah, very, very effective. Even though it looks weird and there is a lot of self-consciousness because we are not used to sort of airing out the feelings at all. And then so these are all personal things, private things, and any kind of pain, the human tendency is to suppress it. We don't want to bring it up. We don't want to talk about it. We don't want to share it. We don't want to process it. And so here, that is why it precisely works. Because suppressing it will just be like a pressure cooker without a safety valve. One day it will just blow up. It means buddhi, okay? Yeah. So therefore, this is another form, processing. And then, after doing all this, then one gets ready for yet one more form of processing. And this is a slightly, this is not a very popular method. You'll see why very soon. This is also, the grace of Pujya Swamiji. He came up with this. And he would always say to people who fought in the ashram, who would not look at each other, the one who brought the complaint was asked to do something. Can you do something for 48 days? Yes, anything what? So this person who brought the complaint would think that he or she was going to be given a special diksha, a special mantra, something. Well, the idea was to give the other person a rose every day. And you don't feel like giving the person a rose at all. But because Swamiji said, you go and you give it like that. Take it. This is my homework. I'm supposed to give it to you. Take it. Or not, I don't care. Here, The first day, that's how it goes. Because there is so much guna and dosha. We have to bring the Laghu Vakya also in context. There is guna, dosha jumping around in the heart, raga, dvesha jumping around in the heart. There is no desire to, because the person is seen as hurting me. Why will I give the person a rose? But it's a very interesting form of processing, we'll see. Then the second day pretty much goes the same. Get out, take it, don't talk. And the other person, of course, can't help but gloat. Okay? And then, so you don't want to give them a chance to gloat. So you want to just throw the rose in their face and then get out. The third day, you had a little bit of space. The person has had, the affronted person, the aggrieved person, has had a little bit of space. And then with this space, goes to the other person and then wants to sneak a look. Let me see your gloating face. Aren't you ashamed of what you did and you got me into trouble? And then, so after the third or fourth day, when the person tries to sneak a look, the other person also looks. They cannot help but laugh at oneself, at one another, at the ridiculousness of the whole situation. So what was a 48-day sadhana finishes in 4 days because the purpose has been served. Why is this a form of processing? Because you are behaving, because one is emotionally ready, and this can be done only when one is emotionally ready to behave in contrary to one's raga dveshas and behave in keeping with one's own nature, which is all love, compassion. So there are many other forms of processing. And so this is what is called processing. And how do you know that the hurt is processed? Well, when somebody pushes a button, nothing happens. That's how you know. And sometimes, I'm asked to bless cars. I don't know how to do that. So I said, what do I do? Well, sit in the driver's seat. So I sat in the driver's seat. And since we were just talking with the person who owned the car and we were just, just casually talking, so I just pressed some buttons. A couple of buttons were there on the car. And I said, well, when I'm pressing this, nothing is happening. So then the owner of the car told me, this is the low end car. So these buttons are for the upper end of the car. They will have some function. This one is just an empty button. It's just a placeholder. That's when I got this idea. So be like the buttons in the lower end car. When you press, nothing happens. That is when you know the hurt has been processed. You neither run away from the source of what might hurt you, neither do you cling to it, nor do you rave and rant, nor do you secretly shed tears. No chinta, no worries, no vilapa. That is how you know it is processed. It doesn't have a charge. There is no charge. That is how you know it is processed. Let it take long, it doesn't matter. How long will it take if you want to ask? It doesn't matter. That you are doing it is what matters. That you are engaged in looking at it objectively is what matters. Because whenever there is hurt, there may be an objective situation of injustice. There may be an objective situation of somebody having hurt you. But then, why should it have such an effect? That's because there is a subjective overlay to that objective situation. You cannot do anything to that objective situation unless and until you heal the subjective overlay. Because in the grip of that subjective reactivity, when you go and confront somebody, then the pain and the hurt will come out, and then your point will not come across dispassionately. So this is the same thing for activism also. There are so many things that we want to change in the world and everything. And if you go with a big cudgel and a chip on the shoulder, then nobody will listen. Because everybody will have their own issues in turn activated by this. And they will all, not want to listen. So the first thing to do is to heal that subjectivity in the form of inner child, etc., and to allow to listen to that hurt, to allow that hurt to express itself, to be a parent to that little hurt one, and to embrace that, to integrate that. And then later on, if somebody pushes some button, nothing happens. There is no bite. There is no charge. That is how you know. Or the charge is less. That is how you know the hurts are getting processed. Interesting question. Nice one. Another interesting question. Why would God, after creating this wonderful playground, I suppose called the Jagat, not want us to play in it? Who said play in it? Play in it as much as you want. Why are Hindu gurus, alright, so why are Hindu gurus constantly shown as detached and asking us all to give up? Why don't they play with God's creation? Why would God give such people moksha? So there are many parts to this question. Let us take it one by one. Why would God, after creating this wonderful playground, not want us to play in it? You are playing in it. You're definitely playing in it. That is what it is. Because it's all an extension of you. Really, from the standpoint of Vedanta, it's all you. So you're playing in it. In fact, the moment you're born, you're playing in it. There's no other choice. You are playing in it. And then, so it's not that God doesn't want you. It's not that God doesn't want you to play in it. So why are Hindu gurus constantly shown as detached? Detached from what? They are eating every day, correct? Yeah. They are eating every day, they are drinking, they are doing everything. So what are they detached from? Oh, and asking us all to give up. Yeah. Yeah, that is what I suppose it is, detached. Yeah, give up desires, etc. I suppose. So, you know, I think that it's not about giving up desires. Really, that's not the point. Desire is Bhagavan. Desire is a manifestation of Bhagavan as long as that desire does not morph into wanting to hurt somebody. Then it is not Bhagavan. So, the desire that is adharmic is not Bhagavan, really. That's one's own abuse of one's own free will. But a dharmic desire, which is following the righteous ways to fulfill it, it is Bhagavan. This is what Bhagavan Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita, Kamosmi Bharatarshabha, Dharma aviruddha bhuteshu, Kamaha asmi. I am that desire which is not opposed, which is unopposed to Dharma. So desire is Bhagavan. How can you give up Bhagavan? Because Bhagavan also says, in every buddhi, raga and dvesha is there. That is part of nature's law. That is Maya Shakti's law. Law of Ishvara. Sarvesham buddhau raga dveshau vyavasthitau. Oh, yippee, I can have more raga dveshas. Well, we have to read the fine print. What is that? Tayor vasham na agachet tau hi asya paripanthinau. Do not come under their spell, O Arjuna. Let them be. Don't come under their spell. Don't be enslaved by the desires. Don't let the desires drive you insane. You be in the driver's seat. Because see, if you have desire, you are the one holding the desire, correct? So you should have the freedom whether to fulfill it or not to fulfill it, when to fulfill it, etc. But if the desire is sitting on your head and beating you to fulfill it, that is not freedom. That is not freedom at all. You are being driven by the desire. And that is what Vedanta talks about, and then that kind of a thing leads to misery. Because one is driven insane by desire, and when one is driven insane by desire, then one is just frustrated at not being able to fulfill it. And even if it is fulfilled, one is frustrated after a little while because one wants something else. So, desire cannot be given up. Because what will happen if you try to give up the desire? I want to give up all desires. I want to give up all desires. I want to give up all desires. All desires I want to give up. Then you are stuck with a desire to give up desires. Then you will have to have another desire to give up the desire, to give up the desire. And to another desire to give up that desire, to give up that desire, to give up that desire, to give up that desire. And we will very soon be in fact we already are, in an infinite regression. So it's not about giving up. If that's, that's not what they are saying. So it's about being discriminative, not coming under the first of all, how to be discriminative? Point number one, make a differentiation between binding and non-binding desires. What are binding desires? Those that enslave, those that create a pressure. It's not the desire that's the problem. The desire comes, some of the desires come packed with the pressure to get them fulfilled. Now, I have to have this yesterday. That pressure is dangerous for one's happiness, for one's sanity, for one's peace of mind. That pressure has to be given up, not the desire. So the binding desires are those things that create a pressure, because those are the things that one thinks one badly wants. I can't live without such and such. I can't live without this. Whatever, fill in the blanks, whatever this is. So, this is what has to be inquired into. So, first make a bifurcation between the binding and the non-binding desires, point one. Number two, look at the fact that you have some non-binding desires already. There are many things in life about which you don't particularly care how it goes. Maybe even some food items. So you go to a restaurant and your friend says, what will you have? Would you like this or that? And you say it doesn't matter. You order, whatever it is, we'll have it. The point is to be together. So there may be some things you really don't care that much about. And that's good. Fulfilled? Okay. If that desire is fulfilled, wonderful. If it is not fulfilled, even more wonderful, no problem at all. This is what is an example of non-binding desire. And then you make a list of that, and then see how many there are, and then make a list also of binding desires, see how many there are. So the idea is to have more of the desires in the non-binding column rather than in the binding column. So the next point is to work with the binding desires, to take the charge out of them by this age-old, methodology, which has become very trendy right now. And what is that age-old methodology? Delayed gratification. Not deprivation. Because if you have a craving to eat something sweet or whatever, deprivation means you will eat 3 times of what you are planning to eat beforehand. That is the effect of deprivation. But delayed gratification, it's right here and I'll have it after half an hour. Or I was planning to have this much, but I'll only have this much. Half, 1/4. Whether it is, time, place, object, thing, whatever it is, you can just say. Even watching TV or whatever it is. I was planning to watch for 2 hours, I will just watch for half an hour. Or I will just watch a little later. So this delayed gratification is very, very good. Even as a child rearing practice, it is extremely good. This is what the psychologists say. Because if the child is given everything that it wants all the time, then it is not a very well-adjusted citizen, because it has this sense of entitlement, which of course leads to misery. So if it works for the child, your own child, then which you know very well that it works, then it will also work for your inner child by extended logic. Delayed gratification. Change the channel. If the pressure is too much, stop doing that, stop ruminating on this, change the thoughts, go somewhere, take a walk, do some work in the garden, do anything. Cook something, clean something, put something away. And after 1 hour you will see that the pressure is much less. Then you can have a little challenge with yourself. Yes, I promised myself I would have it after 1 hour, and then 1 hour has elapsed. Now I am free to have it, or free to have it after yet another hour. You see, then this time the charge would be less because you are making the decision. So this way, when one has more desires in the non-binding column rather than in the binding column, there is freedom. Freedom is not in fulfilling the desires. Neither is that freedom, nor is it a mark of success in life. Many people, measure success by how many desires one has been able to accomplish. Not Vedanta, not the Bhagavad Gita. Bhagavad Gita's success, the mark of success is that how many ragadveshas have you able to pacify? That is what it is. So that is what I think the Hindu gurus are communicating or intending to communicate. So why don't they play with God's creations? Tell them, play with God's creation. Why would God give such people moksha? Well, because the thing is, it's not in God's hand. Moksha is in your hand. Thank God. God cannot give moksha. This is a wonderful thing. Oh, God cannot give moksha? Why not? Because you already came free. That freedom is recognized. That freedom is lived. That freedom is discovered through the study. So desires cannot be given up, need not be given up. They need to be, just like anger, managed. You manage the anger in the same way you manage the desire. Okay? Yeah. And so play with Bhagavan in the form of many namas, rupas. In fact, that is what the person who has moksha does. If you read the Brahma Sutra, one of the sutras is that the person of knowledge is childlike. That is one of the sutras. And then, of course, there is a big discussion. Childlike means somebody has to come and keep changing the nappy and feeding them. Actually, they talk about this. And no, that is childish, not childlike. Childlike means you see the demeanor of the child, which is free, which doesn't have this pressure yet. That is what it is. Free, flexible, spontaneous, joyful, cheerful. That is the point of this. Not to become some kind of a dried up, detached person. No. Detachment is possible only when you are attached. You are never attached. You are a sangha. Can you please explain as though? Because everything seems pretty real. Hence the as though is confusing. Yeah, in the beginning it will be confusing. If we take the example of gold and chain. There is gold, which is what? The source of the chain. Right? Then we can see the gold has not really undergone any change. The weight of the chain belongs to the chain or the gold? The gold. Every jeweler knows this. The jeweler is a gold jnani. Jeweler knows this. That's why they will cut out even the small little amount of alloy, silver, copper, whatever is gone in making it more malleable, to make it some kind of an ornament. They'll subtract that and give you only the price of gold. So the gold has, the chain, it's called golden chain. It is made of gold. And the gold, you can say, has undergone some change to become the chain or the bangle or the earring. What kind of change? It has been smelted and then it has been beaten to give a certain shine, and there is a certain pattern, a repeating pattern in the case of the chain. And then it is polished for all the facets to shine. So it has undergone some change. But it's not really a chain. change. Why? Because this mala is gold, completely gold. The weight of the mala belongs to gold. The color of the mala belongs to gold. In fact, gold hasn't undergone any change in order to quote unquote become the chain. So therefore, the chain is an as though modification of gold, not a real modification. And so, if we extrapolate this example to Sat, etc., then we can say this human body, the mind, the senses are an as though superimposition upon the I, upon that consciousness, which is free of all superimpositions. Everything that you see is an as though projection of that Sat. Because the projection cannot be real. Then if it is real, then we will have two realities. We will have two Sats. We won't have Kevala Chitihi. Since we have Kevala Chitihi, one non-dual consciousness. So one has to be real. And whatever else, despite of how real it feels, it has to be as though. Did that help? Yeah? Whose question is this? Whose question is this? They are as though not here. So, can you explain the empirical reality and the absolute reality? Yeah, that was a good. That gold example is a good segue to this question. From the standpoint of clay, gold, etc. If clay is Sat, absolute reality in the example, the pot is empirical reality. Empirical means transactional. With clay, you can't do much transaction. But with pot, you can use it to drink water, you can use it to teach, it has some use. It can hold some water. So that is the world of transactional reality. The transactional reality is dependent upon the absolute reality. Absolute reality is one, and when we talk about the transactional reality, it is in the form of many names, many forms. Absolute reality is called Sat, Chit, Satchidananda, Sat, and transactional reality is called Mithya. That is a reality word. Mithya. Satyam, Mithya. And we saw that the Mithya has the strange existence of an as though existence between Sat and Asat. It is neither non-existent nor is it existent, because anything you look into falls apart, like the flower. Conceptually it fell apart because where is the flower? You don't know where the flower is. Anything. Whether it is human-made or God-made, Ishvara-made, everything falls apart because even though you're looking at it, where is it? What is that thing you don't know? Each thing goes into some other huge, endless branch of knowledge. And you see that in medicine. So many branches of knowledge. And it goes into more and more and more specializations. And of what use these specializations are, because none of them have a final, you can never say anything. That is how you know it's mithya, because you cannot never say anything final about it. So what do I have after so many expensive tests? You ask the doctor, what do I have? Well, you have this syndrome. It's never a disease, it's a syndrome. So what is it? Well, these are the symptoms, they match. And then we can say that people over 50 generally have it, and more women have it than men, or in certain other cases, more men have it than women. Why do I have it? Well, we are looking into that. They'll never say we don't know. We're looking into that. Research is being done in this area. So, you can never say anything finally. This is what mithya is. That's why mithya is maddening, because you keep on doing research, you keep on finding out, whole lifetime gone, another lifetime gone, third lifetime gone, fourth lifetime gone. Pujya Swamiji used to talk about one gentleman who had given his whole life for bats, for the study of bats. And interestingly, his name was Dr. Bhatnagar, which in America is pronounced as Batnagar. Whole life given to bats, and Pujya Swamiji described him as slightly eccentric, which we would say is batty. So you see, this is what it is. So it's not his fault, because any branch of knowledge is like that. You keep going into it, you can never have the last word. It's a quest without an end. Whereas moksha is a quest with an end. So that's your choice. Do you want an endless quest or a quest that comes to an end? It is a very easy choice to make. Ihaiva ched avedit atha satyam asti na chediha avedit mahati vinashtihi. So these are the wise words of the teacher in the Kenopanishad. Iha ched avedit. If one knows while here means not at the Gurukulam, okay? Yeah, but here means in this body. Everybody can relax, because one will think, okay, in 3 days, what more will happen? So, what can happen? You don't know. So, iha ched avedit. In this body, before one drops this body, if one comes to know, atha satyam asti, then there is, then that person's life is fulfilled. The purpose for which one is born, one has gained. This upadhi, this human upadhi, is only for the sake of this knowledge, no other reason. So, and then of course the human mind says, what if I don't get it, then what? Then that the Upanishad answers, nached iha avedit. If you don't get this here, mahati vinashtihi. The loss is infinite. Naturally, the loss of the infinite is an infinite loss. So, therefore, if you seek infinitely, the infinite is lost. So the quest is finite when you seek the infinite as yourself. Because we have the pedagogy, we have an established way, parampara is there, teaching tradition is there, methodology is there. You can't go wrong. You can't go wrong. So between the empirical and the absolute, absolutely choose the absolute. That is the only thing to do. I have always been a doing person, doing puja, doing meditation. How to get into the state of being, how to realize that I am there. In puja also you are there. In meditation also you are there. In puja also, in and through the doing, there is being. There is being. So, but I understand the spirit of the question, because one is busy all the time, doing all the time. No respite from the doing and the doing becomes addictive. One keeps on doing more and more because, there is something to show for it. There is nothing to show for just sitting and being. Nothing at all. What will you show? So, you can't put it on your resume. I am into being. Work experience. Work experience means what? What are you doing? That's what they are asking. Knowledge, what have you studied? You cannot say, I have self-knowledge. Nobody will hire. And they are right also. Not to hire you if you have self-knowledge. I am on their side. Because what kind of a productivity will be there? Maybe it will be there. But then this is not what the people value. Maybe they'll be more productive because they are free. Chances are that. But that's not what the people see. They will say, oh, this person is no good for any kind of work. In fact, we'll have to feed him or her at lunchtime. Don't want. So, therefore, the being is kind of nice to sit with oneself. So you can practice. See, right now you're sitting, and if you're able to sit for the class, you have actually sat still and been with your beingness for a whole hour. And if there are 3 classes during the day, for 3 hours, plus satsang, 4 hours, you have been practicing being. Of course, here it's a little easier because we are surrounded by that orientation. At home, you can just sit and breathe and enjoy your presence. Enjoy whatever is outside. See how long it takes. You can just look out of the window. See whatever is outside, enjoy. See how long it takes before the angst and the feeling feeling like getting out of one's skin and doing something, itching to do something. How long does it take for it to come? If it takes 3 minutes, just sit for 3 minutes in the beginning. And then you can slowly extend it to 3.5 minutes. Again, delayed gratification. Slowly it will come. And also, it's not just about the physical sitting or the being, it's also about on the mental level. Allowing the mind to be calm. You can listen to some calm music. You can read some nice things. Those are all ways where the rajas aspect of the mind lightens up and is overtaken by sattva. And that is what one wants. One wants a sattvic mind which is calm, which is ready to study. When daily interaction with the Jagat creates ripples, clouding the reflection of the Chit, how to keep the medium of reflection crystal clear? There are different ways. The Shastra divides those practices and those methods into 2. Ishta Purti, it is called. Ishtam cha, Purtam cha. Ishta Purte. What is Ishta? Ishta Karma. Oh, Ishta Karma means whatever I like I can do. No. Ishtakarma is the technical term for the daily practices, whatever one does. Puja, meditation, nitya karma, naimittika karma. Certain karmas are done every day. Certain karmas are done occasionally. Whatever it is, this is called ishtakarma. And then the other one is purta karma. Purta karma means the reaching out actions to help others. To help others because, not because one is condescending, but because one wants to grow. And you grow by giving, you grow by sharing, you grow by practicing compassion. It could be money, it need not always be money. It could be through so many other ways. Sometimes we don't know when we are making a difference. It could be a smile, a kind word, just a gesture. And so this way, these are the tried and tested way to grow, to become ready for this knowledge. They have certain, the Ishtakarma keeps the focus, so that in a 16-step puja, you are thinking, okay, what comes next? What comes after this? What is step number 7? Oh, I think I skipped step number 6. Go back and do that. And then go to step number 7. So there is no time for the ripples to come up. Right? And the Purta Karma forces one to be, exactly how one is. Forces one to live up to one's own nature. As compassionate, loving, non-reactive. That's what happens when you give. When you give and when you reach out, there is a blossoming of the heart. You feel happy giving. Even though in the beginning it's annoying. Your lifestyle, it's against your lifestyle. You are inconvenienced. Why should I be inconvenienced? I need not be inconvenienced. I don't have to do this. No, you don't have to do this. But then, if you do it, because see, you can't always do what you like. So the growth doesn't lie there, even if you could. So therefore, you learn to like whatever you have to do. That is growth. You grow to a person who learns to like whatever that need is there that needs to be done. Whatever is there, you grow to like that. Once when I was with Pujya Swamiji, a young girl came and said, Swamiji, what's your favorite activity? What do you like to do? He said, there's nothing I do not like to do. That is what it is. One grows into a person where you like whatever there is to do, whatever falls in your lap that there is to do. You act with compassion and you do because it is the right thing to do. Oh, but that other person wasn't nice to me. Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. Now they are in need. Give them a hand. No, but they are mean. Let them be mean. It's okay. So the inner growth comes from giving up something dear. Inner growth and sacrifice go hand in hand. You give up something, and then when you give up something, maybe your own comfort, maybe your own lifestyle, maybe something, you accommodate. You grow when you accommodate. And then when you accommodate, the other person is not bigger. You are the bigger person. You may feel on the face of it that you have inconvenienced yourself and then you are little because you haven't stood up for yourself. But that's just a veneer. That's not the case. In fact, it's a win-win situation. Everybody at home is delighted with you because you have given in, and then you grow. It's a double win. You grow. You grow to accommodate the whole world, the whole entire world you embrace. And that's how to grow. And that's how, one way of growing is to become bigger than your problems. Then all the problems are tiny, small problems. Small problems are sometimes cute. So we can look at that in that way. Yeah, small problems. This is what Pujya Swamiji always would say. Be big like me. Anything else? Any other questions? Yeah. Yes. Sixth sloka? Yes.
And then intellect broken by consciousness can eliminate others. Coming from Vedantic to maybe I can talk just like that. Can you hear me well?
Yeah, wait, let him take care of this.
It just reverberate.
1 minute, yeah.
You're okay?
Yes, I hear you.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you. Can we extrapolate that in modern or earth, that intellect eliminated by consciousness? Just to give example, like Gandhiji came 100 years ago from South Africa to India. By his intellect and conscience, he eliminated intellect and he eliminated many other leaders in freedom fight.
Yes, absolutely.
Same thing, Dayanand Swami. There are a lot of other Okies. When Oklahoma people went to California and then they came back, they improved the standard. These are all, there could be many other. But can I extrapolate that in this understandable language?
Yeah, you can say that, but the point is that behind every intellect is Chit. This is what we are talking about, is that same consciousness that was allowing the buddhi of Gandhiji to be illumined so that he could illumine others and lead us on the path of freedom, and same consciousness that is in the form of the buddhi of Pujya Swami Dayananda ji, and then that again, illumined so many people who are doing wonderful things in turn. Behind it's all behind, again, there is no behind before, but just for the sake of expression, every buddhi is informed by, blessed by Chit, Chitihi. That is the point of that verse and all other verses. So the buddhi cannot operate on its own. It is Chit, it is that consciousness that activates the buddhi in order to do whatever. And then if we take this medium of reflection thing, that in that pot where the reflection is free of ripples and is clear, free of turbidity, that buddhi is able to do much more for the universe than another buddhi, perhaps full of ripples, mired in some kind of self-doubt, etc., etc. Some pratibandhas, some obstacles. Does that make sense?
Thank you.
Yeah. Anything else? Okay. Om Sarve Bhavantu Sukhinah, Sarve Santu Niramayah, Sarve Bhadrani Pashyantu, Ma Kaschit Dukkha Bhag Bhavet, Asato ma sadgamaya tamaso ma jyotirgamaya mrityorma amritangamaya. Om Purnamadav Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om.